Today we are going to be making Jamaican meat patties. I, Alicia Joseph, I'm going to be making the pastry dough. So what we have 3.5 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, and 1 tablespoon of sugar, okay? And 1 cup of ice cold water and butter and lard. So we're going to start, we're going to put our flour in. Mix it up just a little bit with our fingers. Don't be afraid to get your fingers dirty. And we're going to go ahead and put that turmeric in here. And this gives the pastry dough that pretty color. We're going to add our salt. And our sugar. Okay, and mix that up just a little bit. Now we're going to add the butter. And I'm going to do it just a little bit differently. I'm going to use a shredder to get that butter in there so that I can really spread it out and get it nice and crumbly, because we want to make sure that the meat patty crust or dough is going to be crumbly. I'm just going to shave that in there. You can just drop the last couple pieces in there. Now we're going to do our lard. I'm just going to shave that in there. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and grab my fork and start using my fork, because sometimes with the heat from your hands it can really start to melt that butter too fast. So I ended up with the fork. Okay, now I'm going to start slowly adding my water. Just a little bit. And we're going to use the fork to continue mixing it so that we can get that consistency that we want. Okay, so now when you've gotten to this stage where it's nice and crumbly, this is when we're going to start mixing and kneading with our hand. So we're going to try to make a ball. Okay, so I did go back and add just a little bit more water. Okay, so I'm going to sprinkle a little flour on the countertop, because we're going to start rolling it out and we don't want it sticking. I'm going to grab my bowl. I like to roll in a circle. It's not necessary. My grandmother, when she used to make pastry dough, she always rolled it in a circle. So, and when I would watch her, I kind of picked up on that. So at this point, you should still be able to see bits of butter and lard, and the edges should be flaky. So what we're going to do, we're going to fold it up. And we're going to put it in a plastic bag and put it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes for its first resting period.
While the dough is resting in the fridge, we're going to start the filling for these Jamaican meat patties. We're starting with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. My fire is going to be on about medium high. Start off with a pound of lean ground beef. This ground beef is somewhat 96% lean. One of the first things you want to do is to try to break up your ground beef into small pieces. We're going to break this up, add a cup of water to it, and we're going to let this cook until this beef has absorbed that water. While it's cooking, I will continue to just try to break this up into smaller pieces as possible. 1 cup of water. We'll probably let this cook about 20 or so minutes. All right, so we're about 20 minutes in. This is nice and cooked down. Meat's looking a little gray. It's supposed to. Not a problem. We haven't added anything yet. So we're going to come back now. We're going to add our allspice. Got that nice pimento flavor. Some thyme powder. Some paprika. Sweet smoked paprika. Some pink Himalayan salt. And some cracked black pepper. Seasonings just added are a staple of Jamaican foods, especially that allspice. We're going to come back now with a little chopped garlic. I'm putting 1 whole habanero chopped up. Fresh yellow onions. And some green onions. If this starts to dry out on you, not a problem. You add a little more water. It is not an issue. Along with that fresh yellow onions, I've got, this is my take, I love caramelized onions. They bring a sweeter taste. So if a recipe calls for half a cup of onions, I'll put a half a cup raw and a second half a cup caramelized. I think they just bring a little something extra to the party. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes. Man, we've gotten a beautiful color. It's cooked down. Some of that liquid has been absorbed. We're now going to come in with some panko breadcrumbs, unflavored. And what this is going to do is pretty much tie this mixture together. We don't want to add any additional flavor, so this is just plain panko, Japanese breadcrumbs. This recipe calls for 1.5 cups, but I think that's a lot. I think what I probably just used might be about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup. And the last thing we're going to do is come back and add a little more richness with 2 tablespoons of salted butter. When you're finished, once this butter is incorporated, you're going to set this aside to cool. It will set up better into your crust if it is cooled down. All right, so we're getting ready to get back, do our second rollout of Mama Joe's meat pie dough.
Okay, so we just pulled our dough from its second rest. We're gonna roll it out and we're gonna add a little more butter, a little more lard, and this will be the final time. So we're gonna give it a good roll so we can spread that butter and lard all the way. All right. So we're going to spread that lard. So we are back out of the refrigerator from our third rest, which was a long rest. We did it overnight. It was getting late and we decided to go to bed. So we have rolled out our dough and now we are going to cut. And we're just using a bowl. It's kind of the size that we would like for it to be. So we're going to go ahead and start cutting these. I'm going to start up here. Get my little shape. And then I'll go back and cut it out with the knife. Let me give it another little press. Okay. And after we cut all these out, then we're going to go ahead and stuff them with the filling. We've cut out our patty dough, and now we're going to add our filling. Okay, and then we went back and did an extra little roll after we cut them out, just so we can get a little bit bigger and add more filling. So we're adding our beef filling. And I'm going to do a couple at a time. Say do 3. And my husband and I always fight about that I put too little filling. So I'll go back to this first one and add just a little bit more. I'm afraid it's going to ooze out.
That's a lot.
That is? Okay. You just heard him. That's a lot. So we'll take that out. Take a little bit out. And a little bit more. Okay. All right. I'm going to push it together. And now we're going to fold it. So we're going to fold. You can use your fingers to press it closed. Some people will use a little bit of the egg wash. I just use my fingers. Seal it real good. And then we're going to take the fork and press along the edges. Press, press, press. Okay. And then we're going to put it on the tray. And I'll do one more. And we have all of our pastry dough filled. And now we're just going to finish the egg wash, because again, it helps it to brown, but most importantly, it gives it a pretty shine to the dough. Okay, and we're back. So today we're using the Traeger Timberline 850, and we are running it about 375, and we're going to put these Jamaican beef patties on for between 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to check and see when they're nice and brown. And there you go. We'll check them in a bit. Okay, so we're right about 30 minutes. We're going to take a look. Woo! And they are beautiful. They have that nice golden brown color from the turmeric. And then you have that nice shine from the egg wash. And we're just going to give it a, oh yeah, feel is right, we're going to go ahead and pull that off. Close this back up. Okay, so we gave it a few minutes to rest because I didn't want to pick it up and bite into it and burn my mouth or my tongue. So we're going to break this open and oh, look at that flaky crust. That's just what you want to see, okay? So, I'm going to take a bite of this. Oh, and look, it's flaking off. That's the type of crust that you want. Mmm. It is absolutely delicious. One more bite.
All right, let me in there. Let me in there. Let me in there.
Okay. My husband's grabbing a bite.
Dude, that's banging.
That is exactly what you want to see.
That is banging.
Let me
Man, I get a nice little heat from the habaneros. Some of that green onion. Oh, the turmeric, just that color is just awesome. Man. I'm digging that. I'm about to grab a beer. Nice job, Mama.
Well, thank you.
Once again, folks, if you enjoyed what you saw and haven't yet hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so.
Thank you again for joining us as we made our Jamaican meat patties. And as my husband said, if you like what you saw, hit that like button and definitely subscribe. There's more to come from Mama and Papa Joe's. Thanks again, YouTubers. Have a good evening.